Hola amigos, bien o no, y saludos desde Medellín. Hoy el tema es cómo responder cuando tienes una pregunta y tú no sabes cómo responder. Ese es el tema de hoy. So, how do we respond to questions when we really don't know how to respond to the question? What do we do? Because we've been talking quite a bit recently about how we can use questions to help us in our conversations, principally to give us a bit of time and let the other people speak so we've got more time to listen and the pressure's not so much on us. But what happens when we get asked a question that we weren't expecting, but we still need to answer? What do we do? What kind of answer can we give? Well, let's see if we can give some examples of that. Now, the first thing to bear in mind, if you want a slightly more expansive explanation of how to do this, just look at how politicians answer questions. Because they're very good at answering, or rather not answering, the questions they were asked. And they tend to evade the question by answering a completely different one. So I'm not advocating that. Really, if you don't know the answer, then we just have to admit, I don't know. I don't know. But if you're asked a fair question and you feel that you want to give an answer, but it's a difficult one to think of what to say exactly, there are some things we could say. Some of these just give us a bit more time to think. So we could say something like, oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. That gives you another 5 to 6 seconds to think about what to say. Or, I'm glad you asked me that. And again, you've got some more time to think about it. Another tactic you can use is you can reflect back the question and really ask the other person to be more specific. So you could say something like, I'm not sure what you mean. So that means, I don't understand your question, please repeat it. I'm not sure what you mean. Let them repeat it, and then again you've got a bit more time to think about it. So there are some tactics you might think, start to prepare with that, because clearly there will be times where people will just ask you a question, it's like, well, I'm not sure. Or you can go with, particularly if they're just asking your opinion, something like, I've never thought about that. I've never thought about that. I'm really not sure. Because that's fair. They might have asked you on a topic you know nothing about, so, give yourself some time. So there are nice, polite ways to do it to win yourself a bit more time. Because it can be quite tricky, particularly if you want to be diplomatic in your answer. And as I say, you can watch politicians do this, because they're very good at it on the old talk shows, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend all of their tactics, because most of them seem practiced at completely avoiding the question altogether, and not answering what was asked of them. So unless you are trying to become a career politician, I would stick with the, oh, that's a great question, let me think for a minute. So on that note, I'll leave you to ponder how you would answer a very tricky question that you weren't expecting. Déjame saber en los comentarios. And for now, from Medellín, we'll say cheerio.